everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And it's it's Friday afternoon. It's the day after the 0-0 draw with Real Sociedad at Old Trafford. Obviously, we won 4-0 away in the first leg. Quite a bit of negativity I've seen on Twitter today about that game. I don't know what you can expect, really. It's exactly the sort of game I expected. I would love to have seen a couple of goals. I'd have loved United to have had a decent win. Of course I would. It's entertainment at the end of the day. But I'm not surprised one little bit in the type of game it was. They didn't want to come to Old Trafford and be on the end of a hiding. As the commentator kept saying in the game, I can't remember who the commentator was now, but they played it much tighter. They were more compact. They made it much more difficult for us to break through them. They were, they attacked quite a lot. They were wide open, really, at their place. Or well, when I say at their place, it was in Turin the first leg, and they didn't want to come to Old Trafford and get beat 4 or 5 again and end up on the end of 8-0 aggregate reverse or a 9-0 reverse. They didn't want that on the record book, so they came and made much more of a game of it, and we weren't that bothered about having to score goals against them either. So it's exactly the sort of game I expected. And if you've been one of the people that's been complaining on Twitter about that game last night, then you should think about the fact that they're already through. They can't get excited about it. There's no enthusiasm for having to go forward to get goals, and at the same time, not only enthusiasm for getting goals, but if we're going to start throwing people forward and really pushing on, you just never know. They got a penalty, by the way. I thought Dan James was a bit clumsy in the box there. They got a pen. They could have gone 1-0 up. If they'd have scored that pen, by the way, it wouldn't have changed the game much. It might have ended 4-1. It might have ended 4-2 on aggregate. It wouldn't have changed the game too much if they'd have scored that pen. But he did his hop, skip and jump there player like Bruno does, and is it Jorginho who does it for Chelsea as well? Is it Kovacic? One of the two midfield players. I think it's Jorginho takes him for Chelsea. He takes a similar style pen that Bruno does, with like a little bit of a hop, but it didn't work for him, and he shot well wide, and it finished 4-0. Like I say, if he'd scored it, I don't think it'd have made too much difference to the style of the game. They still would have only broke away sporadically. It still probably would have ended 4-1, maybe 4-2 or 1-1. When I say 4-1 or 4-2, I mean on aggregate. So 1-0 or 2-0 on the night or 1-1 on the night. It wouldn't have made a massive difference. It really wouldn't. So it was a bit of a damp squib, but exactly as I expected it to be. Couple of not too much to speak about from that game. I thought Williams came on as a sub, played it right back for the second half, got booked straight away. He was a very lucky boy not to get sent off. He did 2 more fouls. I was surprised the referee let him get away with the second one. I think both of the 2 fouls that he did, just individually, might have been a yellow card on any other occasion. So to do it twice and to get away with it, I was a bit surprised. So Williams there, he needs to cool down a little bit. As I say, he did 2 fouls, so either one of them could have been a yellow card. So certainly the second one, having done it already, you'd think he might have gone for that. Bailey and Lindelof partnered each other, which is unusual at centre back. I thought they both had pretty steady games. I don't think it's going to make much difference to the lineup come the weekend. Obviously, Maguire was rested last night. Maguire will play at Stamford Bridge. There's quite a lot of people talking about Bailey playing well in that game, and he should play in the game on Sunday against Chelsea. I doubt that very much. The way some people talk about it, look how good it was. Look at the difference, and this, you hear all sorts of different things about why it was so much better. To listen to these people speak, you would think that we've never kept a clean sheet before. Do you know what I mean? We've kept clean sheets against the likes of City and Liverpool this season, and a couple of times last season. So we you will have your ups and downs, and there are some dodgy moments for all the players. Bailey in the first leg, Bailey let one under his foot. It could have led to them scoring early in the game. If they'd have scored that goal, this tie could have been a completely different tie. Goals change games, is no truer saying, and it was 0-0 at the time. So sometimes you have a little bit of luck in the game, and sometimes you don't. And so as I say, all these people saying it's got to be Bailey, they seem to think that we've never kept a clean sheet before. I'm not saying we will keep a clean sheet at Stamford Bridge. Whatever the team is, they've not lost a game yet under Thomas Tuchel, Chelsea. This is going to be they've had a good win as well this week. An away win against Atletico Madrid was a great win for them. So it's going to be tough Sunday. And there's no point, coming back on or going on YouTube or on coming, in the comments or on Twitter saying I told you so. Whoever plays on Sunday, it's going to be hard. I'll probably take a point now. We'll do well to get a point. So there's no point saying we should have done this and we should have done that after the event. It's going to be hard. Whoever plays, if he plays Maguire and Lindelof and we get beat, it doesn't mean that we wouldn't have got beat if he'd have played Maguire and Bailey for him. You might think we've got more chance. You might have a point, but I'm not convinced. I think Ollie thinks that Maguire and Lindelof is the best pairing. And I think he's right. I really do. The extra little bit of pace that Bailey's got, Lindelof's got that, and obviously a bit more physicality. But Lindelof's a bit of a better footballer, reads the game a bit better, intercepts it a bit better. I think, and definitely passes it a bit better. You don't need to come at me with stats. When I say pass it a bit better, you need to look at it. I don't need anybody coming back and saying Bailey had an 83% pass completion rate. It's probably higher than that for centre backs, 89%. And you might say Lindelof played in a game and only had 84%. I don't need to see those stats. I need to see the players passing the ball, see the accuracy of the passing, see if it's just in front of a man or straight at the man. I've heard people regard it as the eye test on YouTube or on Twitter, and from my eye test, I think Lindelof's a better footballer, and I don't care if it happens to be that his pass completion rate happens to be slightly lower. If it's a lot lower, then I'm interested, but if it's slightly lower, I'm not interested whatsoever. So they've had the draw today. We've drawn AC Milan. I expected a tough draw. I'm not surprised at all. We're not having much luck with cup draws. So we've got AC Milan now. We've got a midweek game next week against Crystal Palace on the Wednesday night. Got some tough fixtures coming up, which I'll look ahead at some of those fixtures in a minute. But we've got AC Milan a week on Thursday, and then the following Thursday we've got them. So that's the two legs. The first leg's at Old Trafford. Also in that Europa League draw, Slavia Prague. I was absolutely shocked that they managed to put Leicester out. Obviously they played at the same time as the United game. I wish that would have been the earlier game. I'd like to have had a look at it. I was surprised Slavia Prague held Leicester City in the home leg. So they got a 0-0 at home, and I thoroughly expected Leicester to put them to bed back in Leicester. But Slavia Prague ran out 2-0 winners, and Slavia Prague have drawn Rangers in the next round. So I'm proper interested in that game. Hopefully that's a different kick-off time to the United game when it comes round, because I wouldn't mind watching that one. Slavia Prague v Rangers. Arsenal have drawn Olympiacos. Straight away I thought to myself, they played them last season, didn't they? I've looked it up. Olympiacos knocked them out last season, so I don't think lightning will strike twice. Olympiacos beat Arsenal in the last 32 round last season in the Europa League, and knocked Arsenal out of the Europa League last season. So I don't see Olympiacos doing that again. And because I looked at that, by the way, something else popped up when I googled it, and it popped up that Arsenal have drawn Olympiacos 6 times in their last 12 European adventures. So every other year they draw in Olympiacos. And Spurs have drawn Dynamo Zagreb. I don't think that's too tough. I mean, you never know, but I don't think that's too tough a draw for Spurs. So I fancy Spurs will get through. I fancy Arsenal will get through this time against Olympiacos. I don't think you'll see an upset in that game. So for the British clubs, obviously for us it's the pick of the round whoever we play. But AC Milan against us is a great tie. Obviously Zlatan, by the way, has been banging goals in for AC Milan this season. So that'll be interesting. I put a tweet out just winding people up. I see a lot of people on Twitter calling it a farmers' league. The Serie A, the Italian league. So now that we've drawn a team, I think they're second in the table at the minute. But I think Inter Milan, who have got our deadwood, as everybody calls it, Lukaku, Ashley Young, and Matteo Darmian, and even Alexis Sanchez, they're top of Serie A and doing really well. They had a great way. Well, they beat AC Milan just last weekend, but I don't think AC Milan's going to be any walkover for us. And I think they're second in Serie A at the minute. So as I say, I put a tweet out today saying it won't be a problem. AC Milan, obviously, they're playing a farmers league, as most people, or not most people, but a lot of people on Twitter seem to call it that. But I think that's going to be a cracking tie, AC Milan, and I look forward to seeing Zlatan pitting himself against Harry Maguire. But looking ahead to this weekend's game, we've got Chelsea on Sunday. It's an absolutely massive game, this game on Sunday. I've said a few times on here that football fans, by nature, you look up the table more than you look down the table, unless you're sort of just outside the relegation zone and you're always looking over your shoulder. But in general, football fans like to look up the table and go, we can catch them, and if we win that, and if they lose to them, and they've got a tough game that week, and we could do. They're always looking up the table and working out how high they can get. If you look at the table at the minute, City have got 59 points from 25 games. We've got 49 points from 25 games. Obviously, it's happened before. We know that. We've experienced that both ways round, being roughly that amount of points and then losing the lead and then also winning it from being that far behind. Always say you don't know, but I doubt that this season. I really do doubt it. I don't think we're playing well enough. City seem, we've got to win all our games for City to drop 10, and I don't think that's going. I'd be staggered if that could happen. Obviously, the sooner we start winning some, the better, because we've not been in a good run of form recently. We've now got some tough fixtures. We've been playing some of the more ordinary sides. We didn't play great against Newcastle. We drew with West Brom. We lost to Sheffield United, and then suddenly in the next couple of weeks we've got some tough fixtures. So I think it's pertinent for us to be looking behind us at the moment and making sure that we finish in the top four. And a quick look at the table now. We're on 49 points in second. Leicester are only behind us on goal difference, played the same games, 25. West Ham, I've said this before, you shouldn't be worried about. I know we shouldn't be worried about West Ham, but forget who they are, forget what their name is, forget that it's West Ham United. Let's just say another team. Another team of 4 points behind us. 4 points is nothing. That's how you need to look at it. I hope it's how Ollie's looking at it and how he's speaking to the players about it. Forget that it's West Ham and just think, West Ham can't finish above us. There's a team that are 4 points behind us. They happen to play City this weekend. So I'd love City to drop some points, straight away. I'd love them to drop some points. But at the same time, if West Ham beat them, if West Ham were to beat City, which I doubt it very much, but if West Ham were to beat City and we happen to that game's tomorrow, we'd be going into the game against Chelsea with West Ham 1 point behind us. So do we actually want that? Do you know what I mean? We're then going to play Chelsea, and if Chelsea manage to beat us, and they'll be bang up for it, Chelsea would be 3 points behind us on the same games, and West Ham would only be 1 point behind us on the same games. And Leicester this weekend are, I think Leicester are playing Arsenal. Leicester are playing Arsenal on Sunday. Obviously, it can be a tough game, but they're at home. I think Leicester could win that. So it's if we don't do well in our next couple of games and the tough games, I think they will be ganging up behind us. Just a little look back a little bit further than that. Liverpool, Chelsea are in 5th, by the way. So if they beat us and move to within 3 points of us, and they're in, they'd be, well, depending on how West Ham go on, they'd be 4th or 5th and be 3 points behind us. Liverpool are on 40 points, so they're 9 points behind us, but it can soon get swallowed up. I've just said it can soon. I've just said we're not going to catch 10 points on City, but I don't see City dropping too many points. I really don't. If we start dropping points, which is easily possible in the next few games, these teams can soon be ganging up on us. Liverpool play Sheffield United. Obviously, there's no nailed on, there's no absolute certainties in the Premier League. But Liverpool play Sheffield United this weekend. So if we lose and they win, suddenly there's 6 points behind us. And the gap doesn't seem quite so, well, it isn't quite so enormous, is it? And then even Everton, I'm not going to look any further, but I'm going to speak about two teams further back than Everton just because they're big clubs. But I'm not looking really any further back than Everton. But Everton, again, a little bit like West Ham. Forget what they're called. Forget which club it is. Just look at the mathematics. Everton are on 40 points. So they're 9 points behind us, but they've got a game in hand on us. This weekend they're at home to Southampton, and Southampton are not in good form. So if we lose, Everton play Monday night. So if we lose and Everton win on Monday night, they'll be 6 points behind us with a game in hand on us. So there's a few teams there that could be sort of grouping up behind us if we have a run of poor results, and we have got some tough fixtures. I'm going to look at our fixture list very shortly. But just a quick word about the other big clubs, if you like. Spurs are in 9th, 24 games played, 36 points. I don't see them catching anywhere near us. You know, they're 13 points behind us. Obviously, win the game in hand, they could be 10 points behind us. But again, you know, you've got to look at it like this and think Spurs are playing Burnley this weekend. So if we happen to lose at Chelsea and they beat Burnley, they'll be 10 points behind us with a game in hand, and still a big enough gap, but you've still got to say, well, win that game in hand, it's only 7 points. So Spurs have maybe got a glimmer of hope of challenging around that top 4. Arsenal completely out of it. 25 games played, so they've played a game more than Spurs, the same games as us, and they're on 34 points. So where are we now? We're 15 points in front of Arsenal. So Arsenal are completely out of it in my book. So Spurs, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, top 7: City, us, Leicester, West Ham, Chelsea, Liverpool and Everton have all got a chance at the top 4. I know they can't all finish there, but any one of them could. Those 7 there are competing for the top 4 spots. And I also believe Spurs are not completely out of it. They've got a slim chance. Nobody else, I believe, has got a chance of the top 4. So we need to get some results from these next few tough games. We've got Chelsea on Sunday, and even if you just look at Chelsea, if we draw that game, we remain 6 points in front of them. A draw will be fine. I'm not suggesting that we go there and park the bus, as people say, but a draw will suit us. We will still be 6 points in front of them. Get beat by Chelsea, and we're in big danger of them rapidly overtaking us. As I say, they haven't yet lost. They've won most of the games as well, but they haven't yet lost under the new manager. Quick look at the rest of the weekend's game, or the kick-off times and the TV times. That City-West Ham game, I'm going to watch that up until whatever time City go 2-0 up. About that game, by the way, when I'm saying I don't expect West Ham to get anything, it's a funny old game. West Ham are really, really difficult team to beat, but on the other side of the coin, nobody seems to be a difficult team for City to beat at the moment. So it wouldn't surprise me if West Ham went there and got a 0-0 or a 1-1. It surprised me a little bit. I wouldn't be absolutely shocked if that was to happen. But at the same time, I won't be shocked if City beat them 5-0 either. So it really is a bit of a tough one to call. I fancy City to win it. I don't fancy them to get 5. All I'm saying is, if they did, I wouldn't be stunned. So that City and West Ham is at 12:30 tomorrow on BT1. I'm going to watch the West Bromwich Albion versus Brighton. I've been very impressed with Brighton. I put a tweet out last week. It didn't go down very well. That when I watched Brighton, they look like a better football team. Actually, I said it about Fulham, I think, as well. But when I watched Brighton, they knock the ball around so well. They look a better team than we do, I think. They knock it around much better than we do and play better football. So I think Brighton will get out of trouble, and that's a big game for both of those clubs. West Brom obviously are trying to get out of the bottom 3, and Brighton, I think Brighton are 5th bottom at the minute. But that'll be an interesting game. So that's at 3 o'clock on Sky tomorrow. There's another game at 5:30 on Sky, Leeds versus Villa. I can't watch football all day. I might give that one a miss. And then it's Newcastle v Wolves at 8 o'clock also on Sky. So I might just switch back on for that one at 8 o'clock in the evening. On Sunday, there's a few games of interest to us apart from us. Not that this is of interest to us. Well, I suppose it is slightly. Palace v Fulham is free to air on BBC One at midday on Sunday. So that's BBC One midday Sunday. Palace v Fulham. Obviously, Palace play us on Wednesday night. They've just had a sneaks a victory away to Brighton. I was just saying how well Brighton played, and they played really well in that game, and it was unbelievable that they got beat. Palace nicked it in the last couple. I think it might have been an injury time. Benteke came on as a sub. Benteke, or however you say his name, came on as a sub and got a late winner for Palace at Brighton. And then Palace play Fulham this weekend. So again, if Palace avoid defeat again, even the confidence will still be up when they play us on Wednesday night. So there's a little bit of interest in that game. Of more interest, also at midday tomorrow, but on BT, is Leicester versus Arsenal. Obviously, if Leicester win that, it's not going to be easy, of course. Arsenal will be up for it. They're trying to get as high as they can in the table. And, when they do... Arsenal are Arsenal, aren't they? When they do play well, they're still a decent team. How on earth they're so low with how many points have they got? 15 points behind us, Arsenal. I'm astonished by that. But, we've not beat them this season. They beat us at Old Trafford. We drew with them at the Emirates. So when they do turn up Arsenal, they're still a good side. So I don't expect Leicester to have it all their own way. But if they do win that game, Leicester, they'll be 3 points in front of us before we kick off against Chelsea. Spurs play Burnley at 2 o'clock. As I've just said, Spurs could get to within 10 points of us with a game in hand, though. So we really won't want them getting too much closer. And at 4:30, we're on Sky, us at Stamford Bridge at 4:30, and then in the evening tomorrow, also on Sky, Sheffield United versus Liverpool. So hopefully we've got at least a point in the bag before that game kicks off, just to keep them at arm's length, if you like. The Everton-Southampton game isn't until Monday evening. That's on Sky at 8 o'clock on Monday. Just quickly before I go, about Anthony Martial. The things that I've spoke about on the Martial as the player in focus against Newcastle. He seems to be a scapegoat at the minute. It's gone down well with some people. Some of the stuff I've put on Twitter, I've put a lot of clips up on Twitter now. I'm still not finished. I'm going to put a few more up about the lack of service to our strikers, and I'm getting some good responses, but some pretty poor responses as well. I'm pointing out on Twitter how poor some of our football is as well. When you're trying to build a top football team like I ain't mentioning them, but I have to mention them. They're the yardstick at the minute. City, the way they knock the ball about and the way they create chances, that's what we should be aiming for. And the more often you give the ball away cheaply, the less often you're going to be able to build up good passages of play and actually create chances. So I'm putting 1 or 2 clips up, which is just really poor play, the ball breaking down when it shouldn't break down. Don't mind it breaking down when when you're surrounded by players, or you're in a little bit of trouble, or you're actually trying an expansive pass. I don't like that, but sometimes that can go wrong. But what I particularly don't like is a pass going wrong when it's easy, when there's no reason for it to go wrong. So I'm putting 1 or 2 clips up like that to show that our football needs to be better. It'll give us more opportunity to create opportunities, but then also when we do get in that final third, our distribution needs to be better. Sorry, not our distribution. When we get in the final third, our delivery needs to be better. So I've had a few different types of responses. One of the responses, I see this a lot. Greenwood needs to play more at centre forward, and Cavani. Somebody put on there, 2 or 3 people put on there. How come Cavani finds space in the box and score goals? Well, I've looked at a couple of things here. As it happens, at the minute they don't. I've looked. Cavani's injured at the moment. What I hate this thing that's going on, and a lot of people accuse me of actually causing it. I'm not really causing it. I'm talking about, people talk about the toxicity between different fan base. When I say different fan bases, United's fan base, but people like this player, people like that player. But the vitriol aimed at Anthony Martial, I'm determined to defend him. I'm absolutely determined to defend him. And people don't seem to like it when I point out that other players are letting him down at times, and other players are not doing. All right, other players might be scoring more goals, but they're not playing any better. I honestly believe that. Last season, let's be honest, Martial was scoring goals last season, and everybody was saying how great he was playing and he's back and all that. And now this season that he's not scoring goals, that's just football. they talk about him now being lazy and not trying and all these different things, and he's no good with his back to goal. Who said that? Dion Dublin, he doesn't help us get the ball up the field. And it's just ridiculous. He's playing perfectly fine, absolutely perfectly fine, but he's not scoring goals. Why he's not scoring goals, I was about to say I don't know. I sort of do know. We're not playing well enough as a team. I've seen some people say, well, we were playing well enough as a team last year. At times we were, but not that often. There's plenty of poor bits as well. And this season, our performances for me are not good enough. And the other thing about it is, even though the performances are not good enough, we are scoring goals. I don't know how we are really, the way we're playing, but we are scoring goals, lots of individual goals and that. But because we are scoring goals, we can't really expect... You can't expect to have three players who are going... When did the team last have three players who had... three players who scored 25 goals in a season, say, or something like that? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's probably never. He might not be never, but it'd be very, very rare. So the goals get shared around at times, not every season, but some. If you've got two, looks like we've got two players who are going to get in the mid-20s. When you've got two players in the mid-20s, it's not very likely that you'll have another one who's got that amount of goals. The team themselves just can't score enough goals for you to have three players scoring 23, 24, 25 goals. I had a look at our treble year. Obviously, we scored a hell of a lot of goals that season. But don't start thinking, well, he needs to get that many either, by the way. This is in a great team that won the treble. Dwight York was the leading scorer with, if I remember rightly, 29. Was it 27 or 29? And Andy Cole was second top scorer with, I think he got 24. And the third top scorer was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself with 18 goals. So that's a great tally for your third top scorer. It's a fantastic tally. But don't forget, that's in a fantastic team. Fantastic team. They won the treble. So is it realistic? I mean, obviously we want to go that way, but we aren't that team, are we? We're not that good. We're not, we're not top of the league even. We're not even in the Champions League. So we had we had a player on 29, a player on 24, a player on 18. All of those tallies are going to be a bit lower. We're not that good. So, if, I don't know, Bruno's looking like he might get 20, 25, 26. Marcus might get a similar amount. Between them, they're going to get as many goals as Dwight York and Andy Cole, or not far short of it. So then if your third top scorer doesn't quite get the 18, even if he gets 12, I think, and that's not out of... it's not out of reach. That can still happen, 12 or 13 goals for your third top scorer. The team are only going to score a certain amount of goals, and it doesn't matter who gets them. It wouldn't matter. I mean, certain players are likes and certain players are dislikes. If like last season, if Rashford and Martial got 23 to 25 each, and Bruno only got 12, nobody would be saying, that's not good enough, he's got to score more. So it's bang out of order. He's absolutely castigated for no given reason. Just I had you see people are saying get Cavani and get Greenwood in. I had a quick look at Cavani's recent stats. Whether they're off the bench or whether they're starting, they count them these days as an appearance. Cavani scored twice in his last 7 appearances. One of which was in the 9-0 win against Southampton. Obviously, Anthony Martial scored twice in that game. So some people say, oh, you're counting them. So if you don't count Martial's 2 against Southampton, I think Cavani scored the 4th goal in that game. It wasn't that important, just like Martial's weren't, playing against 10 men. So if you don't count that, in his last 7 appearances, Cavani scored once. Do you know what I mean? It's nothing to write home about. It's nothing, I see people say, yeah, but Cavani gets in the box, he's alive, he's scoring goals. He actually isn't scoring goals at the minute, no more so than Anthony Matt. He's injured right now, but in his recent form, goals, he's playing fine. Again, don't get me wrong, plays fine when he plays, but it's the people that are getting on Anthony Martial's back, saying he's not scoring goals, and then they're saying they want Cavani, and Cavani's not scoring goals either at the minute if you study it closely. He really isn't. And that brings me to Mason. Watching the West Brom game, I heard the commentator say he's only scored once in 18 appearances, and everyone's banging on that Mason needs to play. And he came on in that game and didn't score, and then he started the other night against. So I haven't checked those stats, but if that commentator's right, he's also played against Real Sociedad since then. He's scored once in his last 20 appearances, Mason. Again, people say, oh, he's only this age or he's only that age. Look, Mason's got a great chance in the game. He's got a great chance. Like I said earlier, I hate having to compare the different players. The only reason I'm doing it is I'm trying to highlight the grief that Anthony Martial's getting for not scoring goals, and yet all the players who they seem to want to replace him are also really not scoring goals. They're not. So I just don't get it. And Martial's hold up play is the best in the club, by the way, so he needs to play for that reason. Quick look at the fixtures coming up for us. Not only Chelsea on Sunday, proper tough. Chelsea on Sunday at 4:30, Palace on Wednesday, and then City on the following Sunday. Obviously Chelsea and City, majorly tough games. Tricky little fixture, Palace away. I know we often win there, but it is a tricky little fixture. We need to get a win there, really, because the pressure will be off a little bit if we manage to get a win at Stamford Bridge. But even if we draw at Stamford Bridge, a draw at Palace won't be very good. So we need to try and get 3 points at least out of these net of 4 would be great. A draw at the Bridge and a win at Palace would be fantastic. But if we get a draw at the Bridge, if we get beat at the Bridge, we need to win at Palace. We've got to get at least 3 points. Then City away on the Sunday. That's doesn't need much describing how tough that is. Then on the Thursday after that, it's AC Milan. Then the following Sunday after that, it's West Ham in the league. Again, West Ham doing great, 5th in the table at the minute. Or are they 4th? Where's my table gone? The 4th in the table, West Ham. So that's a tough game. So we've got some tough games coming up. And then the following Thursday after the West Ham game, it's the away leg in Milan on a Thursday night, the 18th. And then on Sunday the 21st, Leicester away in the Cup. On Thursday the 18th and Sunday the 21st, we've got 2 cup ties that we need to remain in at least one of those cups. Desperate to win either one of those. 2 would be fantastic, but we need to remain in at least one of those trophies. Plus we need to pick up some points from these games. Really tough run of league games. Chelsea away, followed by Palace away, followed by City away, followed by West Ham. 4 tough games mixed in with 3 really tough cup matches as well. So a right run of fixtures coming up. So it's Chelsea on Sunday. A point to do us. I'll be over the moon with a point on Sunday. If you've enjoyed that show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.